You're live.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the ScuttleButt podcast, Veterans Day edition. It's been a couple weeks. Sorry about that. We had a scheduling issue with Nori last week. He thought he was one place, and I went there to pick him up, and he wasn't there. So I have no clue how to run everything. So here we are. We got him. Our guest today on the podcast on Veterans Day edition is my dad, Dave, a Vietnam veteran, Navy veteran from USS Kitty Hawk, and my youngest son, Justice, who's active duty Navy, and he is a corpsman stationed pretty close by down in Connecticut. So, and of course, there's me, Coast Guard vet. I got out in '98, did 8 years, got out as an E5, got an E3, E4. So I am the senior.
But I was the baddest E4 in the Navy.
You probably were. That's why you didn't stay, I guess. I don't know. So, anyways, I'm going to let my dad introduce himself, and I'm going to put the feed up so you guys can actually watch this. Watch it live if you want. So go right ahead. Tell them about yourself. Look that way.
The camera. Sorry about that. You get to this age, you get a little slow. Let's see. I joined the Navy 1964, July 21st, 1964. Did my basic training up in Great Lakes. And then my aviation schools in Memphis, Tennessee. And then from there out to Miramar, California, where the Top Gun school was. In fact, one of our flyers was instrumental in developing the Top Gun school. It was Charles, what was his name again?
Plum.
Man, see, the memory, it happens when you get in your 70s. Charlie Plum, yeah, he retired as a Navy captain. So I joined the Kitty Hawk in Vietnam in 1965. Did 3 tours there up on the flight deck and other places, embedded with the Marines for a while. And I have some things that I'm not sure that they seem disconnected to my service time over there. But I got out in 1968. And now we have, what I'm proud is that we have 3 generations of military right here. Sailors, and it makes a dad very proud, let me tell you.
I am not a puddle pirate. I have pictures of my cutter towing a Navy ship in. And let me tell you, those were some happy sailors to see us.
Oh, boy.
So, all right.
I haven't heard the end of this for a long time.
So, if we go off on tangents, you will hear stories from that guy that his age is starting to interfere with some of his memories, and they get colorful. So, Justice has similar experience, boot camp in the same place, right? Great Lakes?
Yeah, same place.
Go ahead, a few words about yourself, please.
Yeah, so I had boot camp in the same place as my grandfather here, and then I went to Hospital Corpsman A School in San Antonio, Texas, and that's roughly 4 months, and then after that...
And that's Nori.
He's our director, right?
What are we talking about?
This guy.
No, he's our rodent
Gremlin.
engineer.
Yeah. So...
We'll have to edit that out.
Yeah, we'll edit that out. So I went to Hospital Corpsman A School, San Antonio, Texas, roughly 4 months. Not much else. I mean, I'm at Connecticut Submarine Base now, and I've been there for about a year and some change. Got another year there, and then I have some up for orders now, so I'm either trying to go to a ship or with the Marines, preferably a ship because I want to travel and following these 2 for the steps here.
He wants to see stories.
Yeah, I want to see stories.
We can't talk about them on the podcast. We leave that part alone.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't.
But either one is fine. I don't. If Marines, if they send me with the Marines, send me on a ship, whatever. It's the needs of the Navy at that point. I don't really have a say where I go.
Right. So, thank you, Dad, for your service.
Welcome.
Justice.
I haven't even done much.
Yeah, but and if you're watching the podcast, you've probably heard people say this before: is when a veteran signs up, he's writing a blank check, right? And we all understand that.
So I'm getting a little teary-eyed right now,
so I mean,
stuff.
in the Coast Guard, I wasn't exposed to the kind of stuff that the old man was exposed to. Being on an aircraft carrier, I guess he got, especially being a flight mechanic, got to see a lot of planes leave, and sometimes they didn't come back. Sometimes they came back and he had holes to patch. So his experience is definitely a little different than mine, and who's to tell? I mean, Justice is only a couple of years into his career, and if he chooses to make a career of it, especially as a corpsman, he is most likely, if he gets combat, he's going to see some things that.
I mean, for the most part, it's a good life. Corpsman, the rate is a very necessary rate. So when we rank up, it's very difficult to rank up because there's so many of us. Obviously, the ships need corpsmen. Marines need a lot of corpsmen. The hospitals and clinics throughout the Navy need corpsmen. I mean, corpsmen are needed everywhere. We go with Army, we go with Air Force, we go with. Obviously, we're going.
Well, the Marines love you guys.
Yeah, they love us.
See, it's different in the Coast Guard. Our corpsmen we kind of took for granted because the Coast Guardsmen is so tough. We just don't get hurt.
I don't think that's.
So they were pretty bored.
We'll edit that out.
They were bored. So what? You actually didn't want to be a corpsman, right? I mean, now you're a corpsman. Yeah, is it like a default? You had to pick something?
No. So what? You know the story, but I mean, when I went to MEPS, I actually didn't score high enough on my
to do what you wanted to do. Missed it by a few points.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, which one, sees combat, right? Because I was a little younger. I wasn't really thinking and whatever. And he was like, oh, well, you can be a corpsman. You go with Marines. I was like, oh, well, what about, do you go in hospitals or clinics? He's like, oh, no, you have that option. You don't have to go there. You can volunteer to go for the Marines. So that was false.
But I mean, you've where you're stationed now, you've had the opportunity to do something besides clinic work, right? Your auxiliary security.
Yeah, I mean,
work with
it's ASF. It's you work with the MAs there, the military police.
This master at arms.
Yeah, you stand to watch.
You got the bust heads.
Not really. I mean, not us. We pretty much.
Well, you had permission to if you had to.
The MAs take care of them. We're just there to help them. We're auxiliary. So I mean, we'll stand a post every now and then alongside with my clinic work.
Yeah, things have changed since you've been in. When you were in, they could literally bust your head.
Yeah, they come out with a nightstick. I'm sorry, Jay, interrupting you, but they had. We knew that if we were on shore leave or something for the day, and the guys were shore patrol had the white hats, the Dixie cups we called them. You could mess with them, get away with stuff.
Yeah, no, we don't.
They weren't regular.
We don't wear that anymore on post. We wear the NWUs with the vest. We got a belt, an M9, an M4, or an M500, 2 magazines for the M9, and then we have, I think it's 30 shells. Excuse me. We have the pouch and the 8 shells in there.
Well, you're watching a nuke sub base.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little more.
When we're on lower base, we have more to our disposal. Like we have the, I don't know what machine gun we have.
I don't know.
They're big fucking guns. So
if we were in Japan and mouthing off, all they need to do was whack us alongside the head with a nightstick.
We had to shoot and qualify for all those, and most of the corpsmen in the clinic aren't qualified in those because they don't go SF, but they sent me ASF, so I don't have to stand the clinic duty, which is the quarterdeck. Help patients, get around, but I don't have to do that. I stand the gates. I stand lower base. People trying to get in the submarines. It's this big barrier that comes up, but
yeah. So how was your A school?
In
San Antonio, right? I mean, in general. Okay. I mean, was the school tough?
Yeah, it depends on who you're asking. Right?
I'm asking you.
So there were people there who. There were people there who were EMTs, right? There were people there who were already had been in nursing school, right? So those people are going to say it was easy. They're going to cruise through it. They're going to have a great time. San Antonio's, a beautiful city. I loved it there. The Riverwalk was pretty much where I'd go every weekend.
Yeah, San Antonio's awesome.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for me, I'd stress out right before the test. I'd call you and I'd freak out before the test, but I ended up doing pretty good. I'd pass 80 or above every time, so I had no problem with it. I would just freak myself out because
you
I
came
didn't
from
wanna fail.
good genes,
I guess so, but I mean,
Keep passing them down.
yeah, it wasn't hard, but A school wasn't bad. Besides, like, the room inspections were, for some reason, like white glove inspections. And whenever you get up in the morning, you have to like make sure your room's really squared away before you go out in formation, and you go to morning chow, and then you go to class, and you go to lunch, and then do some more class. You get out for the day, study, do whatever you want.
Yeah, how you remember it.
But
No,
but I can guarantee you that
it was different.
no matter who you are, if you didn't study, you'd be fucked. Like, there's no.
Can you say that on the podcast?
You can say
Yeah,
whatever.
you can say
We're
what you want.
uncensored, no topic.
No, when I was going through school in Memphis, the Naval Air Base, and had to take several different courses because.
So what were you in Miramar for? That wasn't A school?
No, that was after I got out of my A school and everything. I went to the F-4 Phantom was just coming online as a frontline fighter jet. It was the most sophisticated fighter aircraft in the world at that time. Of course, it's like an old clunker today, but it's so they had a squadron of F-4Bs out there, and we would train on them, learn the systems, what we learned in school, put it into practical application.
It was a lot different with us.
Yeah, get the plane up in the air, learning ropes and tie downs and all that stuff, and out in the damn hot sun out in Nevada when the pilots were doing their bombing practices. And man, the sun, it'd come down to be 105, 110 degrees on the hot top, and it'd glare up on you. So your combat boots, your feet would burn. It was, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
So
You had to pack parachutes for the aircraft.
a little different there with his training and mine. With ours, it was a lot of book work. It would be so boring sometimes. We'd be in the classroom for hours, just going through pages and pages of books, just
Doing
learning.
touch and goes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You know what touch and goes are?
People breaking their necks trying to stay awake.
Do you know what touch and goes are?
Yeah,
No,
aircraft?
classroom touch and goes.
When someone's sitting down there falling asleep.
Oh, you whack them one.
No, these are touch and goes.
Oh,
Man.
Yeah,
I got
so-
hit in the head with a big book like that,
That
and I
ex-
was made to stand up on the wall against the wall so I wouldn't fall asleep. And I fell
they
asleep
still
and
do that
slid
with
down
serious
onto
stuff.
the floor.
Yeah.
I had a real problem with staying awake. I was tired all
They'll
the
make you
time.
stand at attention back if you.
Yeah, A
well,
school.
At least my instructors did.
A school for me was pretty easy. The quartermaster in the Coast Guard, it's different than Army and the ground rates. A quartermaster in the Coast Guard's a navigator. I guess in the Army Marines, it's probably like a shopkeeper or something like that, like a storeman or something.
Yeah,
Supplyman.
in the Navy, is a quartermaster.
So quartermaster's not even rate in the Coast Guard anymore. I think they merged with bosun's mates, and the bosun's mates always thought that they were better than us. And when we were in, it was kind of we knew better, because our XO in Alaska. Actually, yeah, in Alaska, he was a Mustang. He was an old quartermaster who went OCS, and he was a pretty cool guy. But my boot camp in Cape May for me was easy because out of high school, I went into the academy to play football, Coast Guard Academy, and was invited to leave right
Well,
after.
you were in the Naval Prep School, weren't
Yeah,
you?
but I was invited to leave as soon as football season ended, and I guess
He loves football.
I guess 0.6 is not a good grade average.
I don't think so.
So I had the decimal in the wrong place. So they invited me to leave, and I enlisted. So
I was so proud of you,
yeah, I mean, so the boot camp, Coast Guard boot camp, I guess it wasn't easy. It was easy for me because I had already gone through Naval Academy Prep School, and you had midshipmen from the Naval Academy and cadets from the Coast Guard Academy just there. They were your cadre, and hours and hours a day, they just beat you, running push-ups, jumping jacks, just all kinds of PT. It was like they had nothing better to do. So when I got to boot camp, that was like a Canadian accent. Did you hear the boot? Did you hear that?
I was actually flashing back to boot camp.
Yeah, so
as you were talking.
it was easy. The swimming portion people had trouble with.
Oh, I love that, the swimming.
It was easy for me. I mean, I was captain of the swim team in high school, but
You jump off the high towers and everything.
I mean, it's what, 10
ship
meters.
and all
It's
that,
it's nothing.
Oh, I thought it was pretty cool. Well, they took the guys. I don't know if they did with you. The guys that were wise asses. They put them in a parachute harness in case you had to ditch you in a parachute, and then swing you out off the tower. And
we don't do much parachuting or ditching in the
well, they
Coast
do
Guard.
with the Navy. Your company commander gives a yank on the chain when he wants to let you go into the water. If you was one of the wise asses, he waited till you were swung up like that so you'd hit face first, or the other way, back first. And I see guys come out of the pool with welts on them like you wouldn't believe.
They definitely can't do that anymore. I mean, we would just do extended marches, runs in the sand on the beach right in Cape May, New Jersey. We'd have to pack our sea bag with sand, and it got heavy quick. But like I said, boot camp was easy. After boot camp, I had guaranteed A school because I actually cheated on my ASVAB. I took it at my high school. This time
I did not know this.
There's
until
time
now.
sections. It's an easy test, but I mean,
So why'd you have to cheat?
I didn't have to. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. If you get caught, you wasn't trying hard enough. So, I used to tell you that as your football coach, right?
Yeah.
So, my high school coach told us that if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I didn't get caught much, but so when I took the ASVAB in high school, they gave it in the auditorium, and there's 100 of us in there, and it was one test proctor. So it's time section, right? Yours was time section. It said stop, put your pencil down. I did fuck that. I didn't stop. I just kept going.
I took mine at NEPS.
You always probably took it on a computer.
Yeah, it was on a computer.
Yeah, ours was pencil, fill in the circles.
Yeah.
I just kept going. I mean,
we were in a small room and you had a guy walking around. It was nothing.
I skipped it. I skipped questions. I probably went through that whole booklet like 3 or 4 times, and I was done ahead of everybody, and I had everything filled in. I think I finished in like the 90th percentile. So I had guaranteed A school. My A school was in Yorktown, which is awesome A school. Yorktown, Virginia. Yeah, and right at the battlefields. I mean, it was so much fun on the weekends.
It was nice. We went there.
Yeah, I mean, we walked out to the battlefield. We'll talk about that in a minute too, because that's definitely an experience that if you haven't, you need to. There's definitely some stuff there, but on the weekends we did some crazy stuff. So we had a I don't know what it was called, like a morale type. They had morale gear. They had canoes.
Yeah, for the Navy now, I don't know what it was back then, but it's called the MWR. It's like
it might have been. I just know that's where we went to get our stuff.
Oh, it was all draft
Like
when I enlisted.
Yeah, like on base, there's like an MWR course has like the netting and like the paintball course. You can rent like canoes and stuff.
It wasn't paintball. When I was...
You can rent like canoes and stuff to go out on the water and stuff, but no one really does because the MAs are really jumpy on the water. So, yeah, they're really jumpy.
Speaking of canoes,
You shut the heat off?
no,
I'm an old man now. I need the heat.
that's all right. You'll be okay. It's on, right? Nori, did you? Yeah.
If you get to the end of this and you find that I'm not in the chair anymore, you know why.
Yeah, because they'll be watching and they'll see you fall. So in our morale locker, we had canoes, we had mountain bikes, and by the end of A school, we were pretty much not allowed to use any of them, or what was left of them. So we took the canoes out on the river, and we played combat canoes. So, and it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. I mean, we would
Ram
each other, smash, and so in Yorktown, Virginia, Maryland, that area, blue crab is real popular. It was murkish water, so
yeah.
they
A
would,
delicacy.
they liked feet, so they'd get a hold of your feet, and you hit the bottom, and you learned how to get back in that canoe quick. And then it was the challenge was if you get knocked out of the canoe, you'd pull the other guy in if he managed to stay in, or you'd flip the other canoe next to you. So when we ran out of canoes, we got to the mountain bikes and we took those through the battlefields and in the woods, and the mountain bikes didn't fare well. We ended up carrying them back. I mean, we broke frames, we bent wheels, and we never got in any kind of trouble for it. you know. But we would also get discounted tickets for Busch Gardens and King's Dominion down there. So I mean, we were very active. It was a great time. And A school was, you know, the quartermaster A school. It was a tough school, but for some reason, just that stuff just made sense to me. So it wasn't difficult.
Did you ever reflect upon the battlefield? It was the Civil War, and the men that fought and died there.
Have you been there?
No, I haven't. But you know, I get into military installations and things like that. I get deep into because I get in there some of the fortifications and stuff that we had, and I said, who was here? You know, the generation before me, two generations before me, and they fought here and died here, what have you, and all the hurt and the pain, and I reflect upon that, and it's never left me.
Yeah. So, if anyone watching has been to Yorktown, to the battlefields, I didn't go to the battlefields in Gettysburg or anything like that, but the battlefields in Yorktown were literally almost right outside the gate. Mm. So we did spend some time. We went out there at night, and you know, we're tough guys. And there is an aura on the battlefields, and it's quiet.
Ghosts.
Yeah, it's something for sure. It's quiet. There's you know, there's something in the air. You know, the dark. There's no street lights. It's just darkness. You know, the stars, the silence.
You can feel it.
There's an energy. So when we were down there for what, football university?
Yeah,
Top Gun,
yep.
right?
I mean, when we were at the battlefields, all I noticed was the fireflies. I wasn't.
Yeah, you'd never seen them before, but
Yeah.
now we have them in the backyard.
Yeah.
But there was it is definitely an energy there. Maybe it's in my head or what. But
No, I've heard guys that have gone to the wall in Washington, and they've told me many times, "Says Dave, you got to go down there, and you can feel something in the."
So you're talking about the Vietnam Memorial?
Yeah, the Vietnam Memorial. You can feel something in there. There's a spirit there that you don't find anywhere else, and it's healed a lot of guys. And they have the statues of the soldiers wading through it, you know, in their rain gear and everything through the jungle.
So, how much of that do you think is just in their head, like in the person's head?
Oh, I don't. I believe that there's a spirit and a force that persists or what have you and everything.
Well, I'm not saying I disagree.
Well, I mean, if you've ever seen a dead body with his eyes open, you can clearly see that something is gone, something left, right? It's not. If you look at someone sleeping with their eyes open, you can tell that they're alive.
Yeah, then you smash them in the forehead.
Okay, but
right?
Besides the fact that
that's
they're
what
breathing,
I do to you.
What?
You don't sleep with your eyes open, but sometimes I smack you in the head.
All right, but anyways, back to my point, right? If besides their breathing, right? Besides their breathing, you can clearly see that it's just an empty. It's a husk.
No, I've been in places and stuff, and you can feel a presence or like an energy or something that's there. In some of these old fortresses and stuff like that and everything, and I can't explain how it's there or what have you and everything, but it's a real thing.
The human body has an electrical charge.
Oh yeah.
When you die, that charge is gone. So, I mean, is that the soul?
Is that captured inside that area or somewhere or something? It never leaves the area. I don't know.
Right. Where does that energy go? I forget.
Walmart.
No, I don't think it goes to Walmart. I don't think it goes to Walmart. Well, yours might go to Walmart. You are a Walmart.
I fucking love Walmart.
So anytime we go on our road trips,
you gotta stop at the Walmarts. It's weird.
Every state we pass through, we stop at Walmart.
Yeah.
We stock up on drinks.
Yeah.
Does he carve his initials outside the door?
No. I mean,
they're all the same.
Jay was here.
They're all the same.
So that epic road trip we took in your senior year.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that's quite an experience.
We were gone 6 days, and we did just over 5,000 miles. We drove a lot. So we left this area, the Boston area, and we drove. We didn't sleep, right? Nonstop.
No, we stopped like twice.
No, not overnight. Not before our first stop. We went to the Four
I'm
Corners.
saying we only stopped maybe 2-3 times the whole trip.
3 times, yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a Chevy Impala, and when we finally got tired, like day 3, we were just about at Four Corners, and that's where the 4 states, right, where you can stand in the middle.
Yeah.
We were like, because he had to be back at school, so it's not like we really didn't have time to stop. And so we folded the back seats down, and we slept half in the trunk, half out of the trunk while the other person drove. It was so uncomfortable.
It was, but it was sleep nonetheless.
It was sleep, because it was either that or we were going to have to stop and sleep.
What did you do to the back seat?
It folded down.
Yeah, you fold the seat down so that you could put your feet
You're
in the
open
trunk.
to the trunk?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then there was that bump, the hump was like right in your ribs.
It was in the perfect spot to make you uncomfortable, which was lovely.
So I'm sure it wasn't the safest thing, but we had someplace to be.
We made it work.
Yeah.
I wanted to, in the spirit of Veterans Day, those that might be watching and everything, please remember all the people that never came back. And I think of that at the time. Now we have women on the lines fighting and everything. I'm not really in favor of that, to tell you the truth. You know, women are cuddly and cuddly and nice and everything, and I think they should stay that way.
Yeah, so
you guys can talk about that.
I don't think Justice can comment on that. It get himself in some trouble. So, but I say I don't want to confuse the holidays. So I think you're more geared right then to Memorial Day instead of Veterans Day.
No, Veterans Day is a real. I
Veterans Day
had
is for
survivor's guilt for a long time when I came home.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying, isn't that what Memorial Day is for? Is for the fallen, right?
I thought it was for cookouts. That's
Well,
what everybody seems to think.
That's what a lot of people feel like it is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You see the Facebook posts. I post them every year about, you remind people it's not a cookout day, and it's not a thank you for your service day. It's for people who fell in combat while serving their country, who actually had that check cashed that you write when you enlist. But Veterans Day, the way I feel, is for those of us that are still here. I don't think it's a day of remembrance. It's
I do.
you can celebrate it any way you want. I'm just saying, for me, that's the way I feel about it. I got some comments today. I put a Facebook picture up when I was at QM3 in the Coast Guard in Alaska. I put that up, and it's like the guys at work are surprised that I was young once. Younger, I should say, because it's all perspective. But they call my mustache a Hitler mustache.
No, it wasn't even close.
I don't know. I don't know where they get it. So yeah.
I don't grow mine out because nothing grows in the middle.
Well, that's what
That's
that's
covers
because you're
over.
half Spanish.
Hispanic in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You save money on razors.
That was a good one. Wow.
So that's
No, but it is like for you or stuff. But for me, I think of different guys that never came back. That
Right.
went out and they never come back. And there's so many experiences like that. And I think Veterans Day is more of a deeper emotional day for me than it is for Memorial Day.
really
Yeah,
not for me.
yeah.
I didn't lose anybody though, so maybe that's why. But I mean, it's like I said, it's the way you choose to, think of the holiday. That's fine. I'm not going to knock you for
I
it.
know, I think of some of those guys. I talked to some of the pilots and everything on Facebook and everything. The bravado kind of, oh, we're badass and all this kind of stuff. And they had to be cocky to do the job that they were going to do. I mean, falling down, falling from 27,000 feet or something, it can be a bad day. Or they says, you was a plane captain, a crew chief, what the hell did you know? You never spent any time at Hanoi Hilton. But my buddy Charlie Plum, he was a lieutenant when he took off. He had about another week left, and he would have been going home. He's finished his tours. And he was shot down by a SAM. And he spent 6 years in Hanoi, Hilton. In fact, you were telling me you had a podcast.
No, I didn't. It was Jocko podcast. He had him on.
Who?
Jocko Willink.
Jocko.
Yeah, it's a Jocko podcast.
And I was listening to it, and I looked at you, and I says, he's one of our guys.
I tried telling you that, but you have selective hearing, memory, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then
But
finally you heard it,
shocked.
and it clicked.
Yeah. And I called him up. He's in California now, and
Yeah,
I says, I
he was
thought,
pretty personable, right?
yeah, oh yeah, he's, I guess 6 years in the prison mellowed him a lot. He retired as a Navy captain and has written several books of his experience. So I've talked to him, and he's a very personable individual. So yeah, sometimes adversity does a lot to your personality, makes some real changes, and under severe adversity, you get some big changes.
Yeah.
Either that or die.
So how was port call or Liberty for you guys when you would get it? It must have been quite a release, right?
Yeah, we'd be out for for 2.5 months at a time.
Without port call?
Right. Then do 14, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we were all tired. We were so damn tired. And then we went into Hong Kong a couple of times. We only stayed there for a few days. And then we went to the Philippines was a popular one. And I love the Filipino people out there. And also in Japan. And I put some pretty good shore time out there in Japan too. We don't get into that, but those
That's
nice
a conversation
nice people.
for another time.
Yeah, they turned out to be some nice people.
Yeah.
And I says, these are the badass people that they did all that they to us and the rest of the world.
Well, that's what happens
less than 20 years ago.
When you drop a bomb on them, they tend
Two.
to. Yeah, the first
big
one
ones.
didn't do it, right? So I guess that that will change some minds, I guess.
Well, Longapo was the big port call there for the Navy in the Philippines, Subic Bay, and Longapo was the town outside there. And they said that was probably the last wild town of the old West in the world. And it was really tough. So you thought Tijuana was bad.
Tijuana's not bad. Did you ever get a chance to go to Hawaii?
Oh, yeah, I've been there a few times.
Pearl Harbor?
Oh, yes.
Did you visit
The memorial?
Yeah.
No, I did not. I got on shore a couple of times, and that was about it. But I had most of the watches and stuff like that on ship.
That sucks.
So when I was on the Sweetbriar in Code Over, Alaska, we did our refresher training in Honolulu, Pearl Harbor, right? So we were there for almost 4 months, and our work day ended at 4 during the training days.
You
Yeah.
have shore duty?
No, I was on the buoy tender.
Oh, this is my work day ends at 4.
Yeah, well,
If I don't.
I think it was 4. It might have been drop hours, but no, the training lasted 3 months, and I think we had like another 2 or 3 weeks there afterwards. Then we went to drop hours 7:07 to 1300. But that was a lot of fun. We were on scooters and just all over the island, and I actually didn't go to the memorial. I was just young, didn't know any better, took it for granted. And it took me almost 30 years later. We just went. Maria, my wife, and I, we went on vacation down there.
She was very impressed at what all you looked down into the turret.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't just that. It was, but so we got there like an hour and a half before they opened, because they admit limited admission, and that was it was the big middle of January. So that was the first thing we saw. The first day, first morning, woke up early. I think they opened at 6 a.m. We were there at like 5 a.m. We were there like over an hour before they opened. We were second in line. But then the next day, the government shut down, and the whole rest of the time we were there, it was closed. So if we had waited, I still wouldn't have got to see it.
Oh, wow.
So when you go in, you go and watch a short film about it, and then they ferry you out to the memorial, and it's one of those things. I can explain it, but you have to see it, and it's still oil sheen, still leaking oil, and when the survivors pass, some of them are cremated and buried there.
If a person wants to get to see some of the ships, some of the big ships from times past, they get a big battleship down in Battleship Cove, Fall River, Massachusetts. Yeah. And in New York, there's the Intrepid. That was very instrumental in the Apollo programs and stuff and everything.
There's the Nautilus Submarine Museum in Groton, Connecticut.
We're literally right off my base.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
when I was at the main gate, we'd always get people trying to get on base. And when they come up, they'd be like, "Hey, yeah, I'm just trying to get in to see the submarines." I'm like, "You ain't seeing these submarines.
These are not for tour.
You're not coming to see these submarines." I'm like, "Oh, why not? We thought we could see them." Like, no, these ones are actually in business here, right? You can't go down there.
It's not the same. You haven't even been on them, right?
No, I mean,
I've never been on them.
I can go on.
I've never been on them.
I don't have interest in them. I like submarines.
Well, let me tell you.
If I were to become an IDC, an independent duty corpsman, I could be on a submarine.
So advice, and any veterans watching will confirm this, as I'm sure you probably will. Don't take that stuff for granted. See everything you can, because look at how long it took me to get back to Pearl Harbor.
I'm not too fond of being in a steel tube underwater with a bunch of dudes.
Yeah. You don't even know you're there after a while.
Why? How do you know?
Because I've been
movies you watch Hunt for Red October.
Yeah, but you're above water. You can go out.
He's watched Hunt for Red October, so he knows.
No. You don't.
Yeah, I watched the movie.
You don't want to be in a submarine. Sometimes we go down on the subs to do like HIV drugs, like mass.
So you've been on one.
No, I didn't go. But sometimes we send some of the texts down to go, and they come back like, "Oh man, fucking smell down there." It's like it gets smelly.
They said in the second war it was really bad.
It gets bad.
They called them pig boats. They wouldn't bathe for weeks.
Their field days are pretty intense when they actually come up. They do these really deep.
So, I mean, when a submarine runs into an enemy submarine in wartime, to me, it would be like two guys in a closet in the dark fighting.
No,
with hammers.
They've got their equipment,
the radars, all that.
Yeah,
but
shit.
I mean,
they turn the tube and
that's their job. That's what they do.
Yeah. They know he's there.
They know what they're doing.
Well, you can put your hands up in front of you and find the guy in the closet, too.
No.
So there's a reason that America has the greatest Navy on the planet. Right?
It's the military in general, especially the Coast Guard.
We're good at what we do. All right. So, I mean,
there's a plug for all you coasties out there.
The Coast Guard, right?
Keep going. Next subject.
The world's greatest Coast Guard, right?
Well, it is.
Do they?
The only Coast Guard?
The Coast Guard still have that 6-foot rule? You got to be 6 foot, because if your boat sinks, you can walk to shore.
Right. So I don't know. I know.
They had a lot of coasties. They were doing brown water Navy in Vietnam, up the Mekong Delta.
In the Vietnam,
and they took some heavy casualties.
The heaviest.
Yeah, because they were getting sniped as they're going up. They'd start killing the guys in the back. Boom, boom, boom.
But I tell you what, though, when I was in Corps school, in San Antonio, the coasties that were there, they were the chillest dudes and women that I've ever met.
That's what we do.
They were. It was almost like they weren't even in the military.
That's how we roll.
How you doing? And then be like, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?" And I was like, "Hi."
That's how we roll.
Keep moving.
I would have liked to have stayed in, but
like they didn't march anywhere. They didn't go. Like they were all doing their own thing because they're an HM too, but it's not called Hospital Corpsman. They're called like I don't know.
When I left in the Navy, my A school and everything, the Coasties were still staying there because their aviation guys were going through electronics, hydraulics,
Yeah, you guys, they do
and
do a lot.
structural
There's not as
and
many
everything
as
else.
of you guys. So
No, it's about 35.
They had to know
when
everything.
you guys do have a job, that person
do
that's
it.
doing the job, you do
We
a
do
lot
it.
more than.
I didn't get bored. I mean, when we were underway, after work, work hours stopped, we'd eat our chow, and within a half hour of the mess deck being cleaned up, the poker game started, or the movie started down in Ops Berthing or whatever, and we
used to do that in A school too. We started Friday night, and we set the time that we'd break so we could go get something to
all right.
eat.
So here's the thing. Speaking of poker,
Okay.
so you played poker, right? You've told me this one story that's pretty hardcore. So you guys on the boat caught a guy cheating.
Yeah, they did. I didn't. I'm too stupid
How did they
to know.
How did they want to deal with that guy?
Oh, they didn't put up
Hold
with
on,
any cheats.
whoa.
Wait, tell the story.
Whoa.
You heard it, right?
I don't know. I think I have. I don't think it's good for.
No. Go ahead. Tell it's okay. Tell the story. Like what happened? Tell from the beginning. Like they caught him and what happened?
Well, they came up, knocked on my bunk, and they said, "Dave, we caught so and so that has been cheating on the cards, and we're going to go down, and we're going to throw him over the side." I said, "Whoa! Wait a minute, guys. Hold
what
on
were
a
you
minute."
guys playing for? I mean, was it high stakes?
Nickels and stuff. They just didn't
take
like
your
a
nickels
cheat.
serious,
They
see?
didn't take it. They
Yeah.
didn't like a cheat. That's it. That was our
Yeah,
fun.
you
That
don't
was
cheat
it.
You don't cheat at cards. That's
No.
man
You throw
code.
a man overboard, you go to 11 more.
So I says, "Look."
So did you say I'll hold his feet? You wanted his boots, or
I
how'd that
says,
go?
"Look, go on down there, have a talk with him, beat the shit out of him, and let him know that he's blackballed throughout the ship, and he's going to pay everybody back with interest that he stole
How'd that work
for
out?
money." It worked out pretty good. He never played another game, and everybody got their money back.
Did he owe you
Took
money?
him a while. Yeah, I guess so. I don't remember getting anything, but
You weren't a good player.
no, I wasn't. It's time. It passed time.
Yeah.
For some reason, this made me think about in boot camp. I had a kid shit his pants. This kid literally shed. It was like so we went from our when you first get to boot
Playing
camp.
poker?
No. In boot camp.
Oh.
No. So when you first get to boot camp, you're building your division, right? People are all arriving to set up your division, right?
That's not a good start.
What?
Shitting on
Oh
yourself.
no! So we formed a division. We had to get our sea bags together, march to our. They call it a ship. Where's the building? We call it a ship. And you go in and you get in there and you have to unpack your sea bag, and they're all yelling at you, get in your face and shit like that. And then they say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to make you stop, right? And this kid apparently didn't hear them saying 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So he didn't stop. So then they all got in his face. And they were yelling at him, getting in his face, hands in the face, all that stuff. But they weren't touching him.
Was it jelly donut moment?
No, it was far, far worse. So then is this little Asian kid, right? Scrawny.
They make him eat it?
No. What are you talking about? No.
Eat the shit?
No.
Yeah.
Hold on.
In your day.
Jeez, man. Hold on.
In my day, yeah.
So you guys throwing people overboard, eating shit?
This is the funny part, right? They all kind of backed off of him, and he's standing there at attention. And he says this little whimper. He's like, I can still see him in my head. he was like, I think he was like, Chief, I just shot myself.
Wait, that was on day one?
That was on day one.
Did you ever see him again?
No, he came back. And then one of my RDCs, he was the HM2. And he was like, get the fuck out of here, you fucking disgust me. Get your shitty ass out of my fucking department. And of course, I started dying laughing. And that shit was funny.
Did you get away with it?
I wasn't the only one laughing, so they beat us pretty thoroughly after that for laughing at him. But he came back, he got beat too after that. And it was
So
it was funny.
I remember on some of your phone calls you would say so and so packed his bag and we never that was
that motherfucker. A lot of
you
those
never
guys,
see him again.
Yeah, we'd never see him again. They'd send their asses to the quarterdeck, and I never got sent to the quarterdeck.
But you knew that wasn't a good thing.
There was near the end of boot camp, right? There was so two of my RDCs. The HMC was my head RDC. I'm not gonna say his name. He's still active duty. The HM2, I'm not gonna say his name either. They're all still active duty. So the HM2, and then some kind of, I think he was I don't know what he was.
He could be watching. You better not.
Yeah, he was a good guy, a decent guy
right,
for most of the boot camp, right? So my HMC, my HM2 in boot camp were pretty cool dudes, right? But for the majority of boot camp, they were the devil, right?
That's their
and
job.
The other guy, he was pretty mellow, but then near the end of boot camp, that all swapped, right?
Yeah.
The HMC and the HM2 were just the devil. Excuse me, they mellowed out, and then the other dude just completely just started blowing us up, right? And he lined us all up on the tow line, and he was going around asking us questions. And so the first person to get the question wrong is fucking leaving. You're getting
Oh God!
You're getting asthma.
Did the guy shit himself again?
No, the first kid that got it wrong got sent to the quarterdeck. Never saw him again. We were deep in boot camp. Like
they needed to thin the herd.
Did he send him back?
No, I never saw him again.
I don't know, but when he got to me, he asked me a question about what's like on a warrant officer.
What's your favorite color?
On his collar device. I got it right, but man, when he came to me, I was shaking, I was sweating, I didn't know what to do.
But you didn't shit yourself.
No, I didn't shit myself.
Because if it was a Vietnam era, apparently you would have had to eat it.
Yeah. No, it's just they had a guy in there who was using his sock as a condom, and they made him chew it.
So what do you mean? Using it how?
Yes, please explain.
Use your imagination.
So, there was. They get pretty creative in boot camp. They had more liberty to do so in the older days.
Well, my time in the '60s, you'd have to go down to battalion and muster in and everything before you went on watch. And they didn't give us real rifles. It was make-believe things. So
you remember getting off the bus, like rushing and...
I do.
I don't remember.
I almost dropped all my fucking paperwork.
That wouldn't have been good.
No, we got in there about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, they do it on purpose.
And they woke us up at 4:30.
Oh, we didn't get to go to sleep.
No. The first day of boot camp, you don't sleep. So it comes first, full circle, right? For anyone who may end up watching this who's thinking about joining the Navy in particular, when you first get to boot camp, you're not going to sleep for the first day, right? The first night and through the whole first day, you're not going to sleep. And then the last day of boot camp, after a revolution you go through, you won't sleep that whole day, the whole night, and the whole next day. So it comes full circle, but after that, you're golden. Well, if you're going to go through boot camp, just remember when you're boot camp, that is not how the Navy is once you get out of boot camp. It's not like that. When in the stalls, actually, in boot camp, when we were in medical, you go to the stalls, and written in there, I remember, because I was sitting there, I was like, man, is this what the military's like? Is this like this the whole time? And I was sitting in the stall, and I looked at in the carving on the wall, and it said, like, this isn't what the Navy's like outside of this place.
So how would the person know?
I don't know, but he was right.
Maybe he listened to this podcast and he traveled back in time.
That was...
The clock tower.
I read that and I was like, yeah, this,
So, seriously, how did that person know?
Maybe it was one of the fucking...
Time traveler.
RDC or something came in and carved that shit in there.
So shifting gears a little bit. Time travel, right? You made a face.
That was really...
No.
That was a really big shift.
It's a big shift.
Change the topic.
Right?
Yeah.
So, because we said it. So, in the future, if we invent time travel, wouldn't we have it right now?
Have what?
Time travel. What are you stuck? What are you?
That's too heavy.
I don't know, man. I'm just a human.
So think about it, right? In the future, they invent time travel.
Yeah, but they don't want to give it to us. We're Cro-Magnon men.
So as they go back in time, wouldn't time travel already exist now?
Yeah.
Right?
So
He's one of them.
No matter what. So in your scenario, no matter what, there's always going to be time travelers. Because
right.
at some point, there will.
Talking about shifting gears, huh? You really threw that one out.
Well, I mean, think about it, right? I mean, don't you ever just think of like a random? That was pretty random, I admit.
Well, time is.
Time doesn't exist.
It exists according to the Earth to measure for a measurement purpose, and it doesn't run horizontal; it runs vertical.
But if it doesn't exist, how can it run any direction?
Well,
it doesn't. Time is just a word humans made up to describe how the day goes by. It's not a thing. It's not
And the ancients used
Does
to
the day
watch.
actually go by?
They watched the sun,
I don't know.
the moon,
I
and
just
stuff like
I don't
that.
know. I just exist.
And that's how they measured time.
I do my job. I eat. I sleep. That's okay.
No.
Come on now.
That's why I had all those stone monoliths and everything. They were marking
But are you
the
positive?
seasons.
Are you positive?
Yeah, it's been proven many times. At a certain season, the sun comes right there,
Let's
and
go.
that's the springtime.
How does it go?
One more time.
Did you
Right
get
down
that?
the middle. See?
So that's how they knew.
What are you talking about? Stonehenge?
Well, there's a lot of this stuff all over the world like that.
Nor you
And-
want to fact check him. You want to make sure.
No, I don't. I don't believe in fact check.
I will.
No, but they have all that stuff
I do.
around.
I just no. He's. I don't know. What are you doing over there?
He's
Oh, so you're the one viewer?
he's fucking.
So
up
no
over
wait.
there.
So that's not. That's the one viewer for that streamer. That's not really doesn't. You can't tell who's watching on YouTube. Which, by the way, if you're watching this, pause it, hit subscribe, and then press play, please and thank you.
And you have to know this
And
is
like the Facebook page.
this is a first for having 3.
It's only our 4th podcast. Pretty much everything's going to be our first.
Well, yeah, but grandpa, the son, and the grandson.
First what?
First time the 3 of us are together.
He's not sure.
We live in the same house.
Not on the podcast though. The people watching
Nah,
this is a separate entity.
Yeah, he's going to start getting emotional. I better leave him alone.
No.
You can have an old man moment.
No. That's having a senior moment, huh? Well, when I left Vietnam was 50 years ago. For a lot of people, they're not even that old.
68.
68, yeah.
So you've told me some stories where I'm actually lucky to exist.
Yeah, that's true. I was
you
almost
told me
killed.
some stories that I'm lucky to exist. I'll probably tell my son some stories that he's probably lucky to exist.
I almost wasn't on many occasions.
So there was one where you encountered some two-steppers, right? Was it the snakes? Right?
The snakes, yeah, was one of the old. The United States built a gun emplacement over the horizon. That was the new technology and artillery at that time to fire over there. And they built it in Subic Bay, and the turn of the century when they got the Philippines from the Spanish War. And so in the Second World War, the Japanese took it, and then we took it, then the Japanese took it, and then we took it again. So I'd wander around there. Some of the guys would go up there and spend an afternoon and looking over the guns and in these huge holes in the concrete and stuff.
There's
like
a snake story in here somewhere. Be patient.
There is. Well, I was looking at one of the munition rooms down below. And you have to remember it's a hot climate and sunny. The snakes like to get in some shade a little bit and
Cold-blooded.
warm themselves and then cool off or what have you. Well, I went in there and the slabs were about that thick of concrete. They were thrown up and everything. Something big exploded in there one time. And so I'm in the dark and I hear and my eyes are adjusting and this snake kept striking at me. I guess I pissed him off. He was trying to rest. And so I was yelling. I never jumped so high in my life, let me tell you. Adrenaline does good for you. So the guys that come down, they said, "Hey, Dave's in trouble. Get down. Just go, come up." And they went down. They saw the snake. They threw rocks at it, and it slid it under one of the slabs. So we were walking back down.
The kind of guys that would piss a corpsman off, man.
What?
You go wandering off, get bit by a snake. Now I got fucking work to do. Shit.
Well, we talked to one of the Negrados, as one of the original natives. We used to call them the pygmy people years ago. And we described it to him. I says, would I get to aid? He says, no, Joe. Everybody was Joe from G.I. Joe.
Right, G.I. Joe.
The Second War. And he said, no, Joe, two-stepper. I said, what do you mean? Two-stepper. I said, yeah? He said, you be 2 steps, that's it. And they used to put the like that in cages in the tunnels in Vietnam too. It's in the tunnel rats down. So you're going down, you can see the tripwire or something, and it would drop down on your back.
So for anyone who doesn't get it, you get bit by that fucking snake, you take 2 steps, and you'll die.
You're paralyzed. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I have to call bullshit on that one.
It's probably venomous... an estimate. It's probably an estimate. Like you probably
they call them two-steppers.
Maybe someone.
That's what they were known as. As a little green snake.
Yeah,
not that big. It's not.
The most venomous snake in the world for a fully grown male.
Yeah, you got an hour or so, maybe.
Yeah,
or half an hour.
It is really slow steps.
Yeah, well, they called it a two-stepper.
Speaking of steps, another gear shift, right? So last weekend, I did my first 5K with Justice.
That's right. Yeah.
He's got the shirt on.
I didn't think you'd going to be able to do it.
Well, I didn't jog or run at all. So, but I was the fastest walker on the course. I was passing. I was passing everybody I was supposed to pass.
Hey, I ran back to get him. He was moving.
I was walking like old people in the mall. I was arms and everything. I can only imagine what it looked like. But hey, you got to start somewhere, right? I just kept targeting groups ahead of me, and his one guy wouldn't let me pass. Like I had to go out into the street, almost across the yellow line.
Man,
I was just gonna kneecap him.
You should have thrown some elbows.
They were people close to me.
You can edit that out later.
No, I mean, listen, it's the guy. He didn't want me to pass him. Well, he should have walked faster, right? It was, I don't know. You get competitive walking.
It didn't matter because your time didn't start till you crossed the line. We had those digital things.
You're right. Well,
it's not like if you start in the back, you have to catch up.
Yeah, your time starts when you cross the starting line.
Someone in the back can beat someone in the front's time.
Oh, I just wanted to beat everybody I could.
No, but I'm saying, you know what? I'm not even going to get into it.
I understand how it works.
Can I tell you a scary one?
One what?
A story? Flight ops on the flight deck at night.
So when you get this old, you're going to have a lot of stories.
That's all you got left is the stories, believe me.
This better be scary.
Well, it was for me.
Wait, speaking of scary.
You've probably heard the story.
Oh, I have. I can probably tell it.
Which one? There's several of them.
All right, so the one he's about to tell is they were carrying the tie-down chains across the flight deck, and
not that one.
Wait a minute, the jets were powering up, and he had a trainee, and you needed the weight of 2 people, so you didn't get sucked into the intake, and this shithead took off and left him, and the Holy Ghost came down and grabbed him by his hand and guided them through all the fire. Right? Is it something like that?
You mixed a few of them all together into one mishmash.
Well, I saved them a bunch of times.
You made a hash out of it.
No, I'm joking with you, kind of, but go ahead.
Oh, well.
Give us the Cliff Note version, though.
The what?
The Cliff Notes.
He doesn't know what Cliff Notes is.
You know what Cliff Notes are?
No.
Give us the book report. Don't read us the whole book.
The book report. Oh.
Well, it was at night. I was breaking in the new guy. You got that part right.
This is the same story. Now he's going to twist it.
When you're breaking in a new guy, you have him because it's so dangerous.
This is what I just said.
You have no sound where it is or anything, or the heat, or you don't know where everything is. And it's night. You don't have any lights. Lights aren't allowed on deck.
You guys didn't have street lights on the flight deck?
Huh?
You guys didn't have street lights on the flight deck?
Yeah, they were up on the railing so he didn't fall over. So you know that you got him if he's got his hand on your web belt.
If you tell me he let go.
Well, it was 2 aircraft. I had to go across the deck. And there was only one way to get there. I had an E2, there was a 2-prop, turboprop, was sitting there spinning. And I had another one at a right angle, like here. And he was running, and so there was a, what do you call a vortex in the middle or something?
We didn't have that stuff in the Coast Guard.
I'm a corpsman, man. I don't know.
Well, this is your story.
So,
you could just
so I started
something.
Across between them. I looked to see where the props were against the night sky, so I get an idea where I could walk and where I couldn't.
My new Patriots hoodie.
And
this guy is in the middle of a story here.
I know, but I already told the story, and I told it better. Go ahead.
He let go.
No.
I needed the weight.
Don't say.
Oh.
And that son of a bitch, he got scared.
Did you guys throw him overboard?
No.
So
I got a hold of a piece of equipment, and I walked my way back.
Cracked him in the head with it?
No, and I went down into the flight room, and I chewed him out somewhere. So he never did that again.
I knew it was that story.
The other one, I tripped on the...
My version was better.
When I was carrying the chains,
Did you ever see
and
anyone
the
get sucked
bomber
into
almost
the,
run
into the
over
intake
me.
or anything?
It was like 1 inch away from him running over my chest.
There's videos on YouTube where people get sucked into the intake and...
I chopped a guy's fingers off once up there.
What did he do to you?
Nothing. He didn't have any fingers.
No, why'd you chop him off?
Well, he was on one of the cat crew, and he was here and, looking at what's going on under there. He should have known better. And I gave the pilot the signals to run through his ailerons and flaps and stuff, and he did. And the kids that came down and went twink, twink. And I didn't know anything about it until they come out with the Stokes stretcher. And
I didn't stretch it for. Was fingertips that heavy?
And they put him in the stretcher
Hey, why
and took him away.
The Navy guys need a stretcher when they lose fingertips?
No, they don't know what's going on. It's just that he's down. There's a man down on the deck. So.
Okay, so smaller things can send people into shock. So someone's in shock, they're not going to want to stand, right? They're either going to panic.
I'd have been picking up my fingers.
Well, did I tell you about the cuckoo on the bomb racks? The bomb racks?
Yes.
We're getting ready, and he's sitting there, and he's spinning the prop on the bomb.
That's
arming
a timer.
the damn thing.
That's a timer, right?
Yeah, it's the timer. And it spins so many things, and then it's armed.
So,
And this asshole is up there. And
You've
and I
actually
look-
never told me that story.
Huh?
You've never told me
I don't
that
remember this
one.
one either.
This is a first.
This is a new one, guys.
It is. It could actually be true.
This is a pretty good one, too.
Go ahead. So did he blow up?
There was 3 500-pound bombs on the thing. No, he didn't blow up. I saw that, and I got a hold of somebody, and they grabbed him real quick. One of the ordnance men come up.
Throw him overboard?
No,
So
they wired it.
the Navy still like that. You get a lot of shitheads.
Hey, can you say that? You're active.
Yeah. All right, so I'll speak for the enlisted. Right? You get a lot of shitheads, all right?
In general, look.
I knew a lot of officers the same way.
Listen, in general, so
They're a different kind. They're the smart.
He
shitheads.
snapped, and when we got to port, I saw him. They're taking him up. They had him strapped into a stretcher, so he wouldn't get away.
I
They
think
took him down
in
the-
general, the average person probably associates with 100 people, roughly, give or take. So out of 100 people, you probably have one idiot.
I mean,
In the military, you're dealing with thousands of people, so potentially you're dealing with hundreds of
but the
idiots.
thing is about the military. Oh, I'm in the Navy, so I'll speak for the Navy. In the Navy, you have a lot of shitheads, but you also have a lot of brilliant people.
Yeah.
Who are like, why are you in the Navy right now? Like,
Some
why
really
aren't you-
nice guys
Like,
too.
why aren't you
Nice folks.
doing something in the civilian sector where you could be making much more money? But to a lot of people, it's not about the money, right? You wanna be in the Navy.
If
you
you're in the
wanna travel.
military, it's not about the money.
It really isn't because you do not get paid that well.
You remember that old song I taught you?
No, what
Go
is it?
ahead, go ahead.
Okay, sing it.
Let's see. You're in the Navy now. You're not behind the plow. You never get rich, you son of a bitch. You're in the Navy now.
You
But
will
it was
not-
supposed to be the Army.
You will not get rich in the Navy. I mean, maybe you can for some loopholes. Maybe you got some, you get married, get some BH going. You get, who knows? Who knows? You get.
You
You're
get some
not
BH.
getting rich.
Some people can work the system pretty well. Just like on the outside, you can work the system.
You're not getting rich in the military.
We used to get $210 a month as an E4. We got combat pay, hazardous duty pay, overseas pay, clothing, longevity
One of my
pay.
friends from core school right now is getting married solely for pay. You get paid more.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, I know people who have done that.
And I'm just like, so what happens when you guys split and then you're getting half your shit taken away?
Including the kids.
If they have any kids. But kids will just complicate it even further.
No. Well, you guys are why I got out.
Yeah, no, I
Because of me?
No, my kids. I didn't want to go unaccompanied back to Alaska. I got my number one pick, but
I
he was
knew that.
unaccompanied. It was unaccompanied?
My second time through, yeah, it would have been unaccompanied. So I didn't feel like spending 4 years without my, at the time you guys were all under 7 years old.
Captain Plum asked me if I stayed in the Navy. I said,
Yeah,
no.
I remember.
Yeah, I said, no. He said, why not? I said, there's too many assholes. I couldn't stand it. See, remember, Vietnam was going, and they were promoting guys that they really weren't leaders. And so it was making it very difficult when you have a brilliant, understandable man like me trying to deal with these idiots.
The aircraft mechanic.
Yes.
Of the world's greatest aircraft that existed at that time.
So we're going to wrap this up in a few minutes. We just went over an hour, but before we do, Veterans Day coming up tomorrow, Veterans Day weekend. It's a little cold for cookouts, but and put it in perspective how the country has come around on how we treat our veterans, right? So the NFL, I'll get there. So the NFL has these cool hoodies and hats and stuff. I got the whole Patriots loadout here, right? My wife was nice enough to get it for me.
She likes you.
Yeah, you think? So, a lot of veterans, especially the Vietnam veterans, they say Korea was the forgotten war, but I think for a lot of Vietnam veterans, they would much rather have been forgotten than to come home to what you guys came home to. So here you are, when you got out, highly trained by the military, working on multi-million-dollar, and this is back in '68, multi-million-dollar aircraft.
In a stressful
under impossible environment.
Yeah, you can't even fathom the kind of stress. Like I said, your aircraft go out, and sometimes they don't come back, or they come back.
I couldn't get a job.
You couldn't get a job.
No, I wound up changing tires.
What did they tell you?
We don't. Well,
You
as soon
weren't
as I heard that I was a Vietnam veteran, they said, "Oh no, you need to go back to school in the civilian schools and stuff." And they wouldn't have anything to do with me, any of the jobs I went to, because Vietnam was so vilified, and anybody that was there. I enlisted. I wasn't drafted.
Right.
I was a patriot. I was proud of my country until I got to Vietnam and I realized what the politicians were doing, those assholes. And that's why one of the big reasons I don't vote to this day. I know if it's a shock a lot of people, but I can't stand a politician.
Yeah, a lot of people.
But we were treated very, very badly. It's in a different story right now.
But if you did vote, you would have voted for Trump, right? Right?
No, Chris might be watching. I don't want to.
Chris knows. So, when people, we're at sporting events, even through, all of Justice's high school years, before every game, they would ask the veterans to stand. And I would never stand. And when it was a new thing for Justice, and people would say, "Thank you for your service." And it's awkward for veterans.
I don't like that when people say that to me.
So,
that sounds strange?
No, because I feel the same way. The large majority of people who enlist, or military members in general, I would have to say well over 90% of us don't do it for recognition, right? We don't do it for the uniform. We do it because we have a sense of duty. We do it. Some people do it because they want to get out of their house. I mean, look at your dad wouldn't let you get a driver's license, but you enlisted and you were in charge of aircraft and people's lives.
I had a $5 million aircraft when I was 18. My dad wouldn't let me drive.
So we all have our different reasons, but very few of us do it for recognition. But, as you watch the podcast, be sure to thank a vet. My reply in the past is, thank you for your service. I say you're welcome. My new reply in the last several years has been, it was my pleasure. I'd do it again. If I could, I would have stayed in. I'd do it again if duty called and I could go back in and serve. I would do it in a heartbeat.
They wouldn't take me now.
No, they wouldn't take me either. I'm too old, right? I'm overweight.
This guy over here.
Nori, they would take him. He'd have to gain weight.
They got their eye on him.
So the first few times, and so we will wrap it up in a minute, but the first few times, I mean, you heard it right out of boot camp. You were in Chicago, you were in uniform, and you know, it was still fresh, and you know, people were thanking you, and you were like,
I literally folded clothes.
I haven't done.
I folded clothes.
I haven't done anything yet. I can make the hell out of a rack, but I haven't done anything.
I think
I was always so proud to wear the
it's
uniform.
more of what you will go on to do.
Right.
Like
it's
even
that
now,
blank check.
even now, all I've really done is phlebotomy work, right? So when people still say it now, it's like I'm thinking in my head, okay, all I've done is
You're a part of something
all I've
great.
done is service the dependents of the men and women who are on these submarines.
Right, but your lead petty officer put it in perspective for you, right? And what did he say to you that make you understand that you actually do serve every day?
I don't remember.
It was something along the lines of, that's someone's wife or that's someone's kid, and you know you're taking care of them, you're comforting them.
Well,
it's
I mean,
right.
These dependents, the wives and the kids, when they come in, sometimes you can see that they're hurting. Their husband or their what is the word I'm looking for? Their husband or their wife is gone, right?
Their spouse.
Their spouse is away. They could not come back. They don't know that. They're stressed out. If your husband or wife was gone and you hadn't seen them in 6-7 months by now, and you'd be feeling some type of way, especially if you have one on the way, right, and you can't be there for the birth of your son or the birth of your daughter, right? You're gonna feel a little salty about that, right?
A little bit.
So whenever I see people who are visibly stressed out, I try to help them, because that's part of a corpsman's job when you're on shore duty and you're in a hospital or clinic. For any of you who are going to be corpsmen, just make sure you look out for the people who need your help. They won't ask for it, but that's part of your job. They don't teach you that in Corps school, but that's part of your job.
Yeah.
That's good. Well said.
So, on that note, I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for spending some time out here with me on the podcast. I even an hour before we started rolling, I really had no idea what we were going to talk about.
Well, I tell you, I heard that you were going to do a Veterans Day thing. And I says, here's 3 veterans, or 3 military people who are a military family, the men in our family. And I says,
Pretty far back.
I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, my grandfather on my mom's side
sailors.
was in the Navy. He was on a minesweeper in World War II. I know in my mom's side of the family, the Clems have military ties into the Civil War.
You're all sailors, right?
Oh, I don't think. Yeah, I guess they had Navy
Even
back
on,
then, but
even on mom's side, wasn't that some Army?
her uncle is a highly decorated Army vet.
I've never even met the guy. It's my bloodline.
Silver Cross. I mean,
Silver Cross.
Oh yeah, he's got a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
Silver Star. I mean, he's
the Silver
super,
Star.
super
That's-
decorated.
That's just one below the
Yeah,
Congressional Medal.
That's Congressional Medal is like the only thing he doesn't have. Multiple Purple Hearts, multiple tours in Vietnam. He is just an amazing guy. I've met him once. We visited
People don't
last
know
year.
that when a man is a person, woman, is wearing the Congressional Medal of Honor, they'll wear it around their neck and it has the stars and stuff. It's usually not the ribbon.
Well, there's a ribbon too.
There is a ribbon,
Yeah,
but usually you
wear
don't
it,
see
yeah.
that. That person rates a salute no matter what
Oh yeah.
their rank is. You give them a
I haven't
salute.
seen one, but I knew that.
Yeah.
They don't teach it at boot camp, but I just.
I've
knew
never
that.
seen one in person.
I
mean-
had a couple of SEALs in Vietnam that we got to see CMH. If I might, just real quick, they were on a beach and surrounded and everything, and they had one of the big guys down there, and and they were getting chewed to pieces, and so one of the guys dropped, and the other guy's out in the water and stuff, ready to be hauled away, and he sees his buddy drop, so he went back under all that fire.
Yeah, his buddy lost an eye, and
He was shot up really bad. Dragged him back in, and they were going to give him a Congressional Medal of Honor and everything. He says, "I will not accept it unless you give him one too."
He would have rated one anyways.
Yeah,
but
they gave him. They says, yeah, okay.
So we can do another podcast on that at another time. Talk about it. I know I believe they've both written books, and it's an amazing story. They've done documentaries and films, and they're both still kicking it.
Well, Jocko does a lot of podcasts with military.
Yeah, most of them.
Some extraordinary events and stories and everything. Those are real heroes.
When you're a retired Navy SEAL commander, you got some weight to throw around.
Is that what Jocko was?
Yeah.
Naval SEAL commander?
Yeah.
Mustang.
Yeah. I think he was an E5 in the SEALs in the SEAL teams, and
he's radioman before SEALs.
Was he?
Yep.
Yeah. So actually, you mentioned, and we will end. You mentioned Medal of Honors. You know what rate in the military has received the most of them?
Coleman.
Yeah. What was that?
It's the most decorated rate in the Navy's hospital.
Amazing movie. Was it?
Posthumous.
Hacksaw
Ridge.
Was Hacksaw Ridge?
Oh my gosh.
Hey, listen. I had the saw on the ridge part.
Right.
It's an amazing movie.
He was even sending the wounded enemy down for repair.
He wasn't a corpsman.
No, he was an Army medic.
He was Army medic.
Right.
Yes.
Corpsmen are far better at their job.
Well, it's an amazing story, Rick Irish.
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's wrap it up. Thank you guys for coming on. Nori, where's the time? We're an hour and almost 16 minutes.
You get a chance to watch Chris Kyle?
But he's not in it.
No, Chris Kyle was
American Sniper.
American Sniper.
Great movie. And you wouldn't watch it for a while.
I wouldn't watch it, but at the end I was in tears when the funeral procession. I'm sorry.
See? So,
He's a hero.
Yes, he certainly was. Actually, that was his nickname, the hero, right?
Legend.
The legend.
The legend.
I'm fucking that up. I give up.
Get your shit together.
I will. Let me get my shit together. Look at this guy. He's over here, blubber over here.
Right? Get your shit together.
All right, so hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the Facebook page. Thanks for watching. We are still looking for sponsors. If you know anyone, hook us up. We need to get subscribers. We need to get likes on the Facebook page, subscribers to the YouTube channel, and thank a vet. And thank you to all the vets watching. Thank you very much for your service. We appreciate it. And till next time.
If I'm invited back again, I'll take my meds so I won't be so emotional.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next time.
Good night.